What's up, guys? Cougs, what's up, man? Bargs, big game tonight. How you feeling about that, Coach? Yeah, it's big, man. It's big. Uh, I'll tell you exactly how I'm feeling about it. I mean, I think we match up good. I mean, it's going to be a good game. Game 2 yesterday. Realistically, like it's a 1-0 game pretty much. If we play defense correctly, if we make like a routine catch a routine pop up. They ended up we like 2 outs. We missed a routine pop up with the runner on first in foul territory, and then 2-run bomb. So it's a 1-0 game going into the seventh. Obviously, they added on late with one of our bullpen arms, a kid who's going to be really good. He's young, sophomore, was on JV, but he's got a really promising future. But got to him a little bit, and so no, but I think we match up really well. But both games yesterday were super tight. But it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be good, man. You guys lost? No, we won. We won game 1. We lost game 2. So we play game 3 today at 6:00. So we're still in it. We're still in it. I will say, offensively, that was our worst like by far in the playoffs. Like the first game, we had a 5-run comeback in the 7th inning to win. But we did not hit the ball well game 1. Game 2, we crushed the ball just right at there. I mean, bases loaded, like deep line outs to center, like line out to second base. Like we were crushing the ball for the first 5 innings and just nothing to show for it. Literally, it was like six absolutely destroyed line drives with guys on base and nothing to show for it. So again, talked to the guys after the game and just said, listen, like who wants it more? Who wants it more to tomorrow, which is today now. So we're still in it. We still got life. But yeah. In other news, let's go over some of this midweek stuff. Obviously, Georgia Tech took care of business in the midweek today or this week. They had 2 midweek games. Mercer and Georgia Southern, like 2 really solid mid majors, took care of business. Sorry, I'm just finishing up. I was finishing up some back end stuff. Sorry guys, 1 second. Make sure I got everything taken care of here. Oh wait, there's one thing I didn't do. And then Miami, big win over FIU. Like Miami's just figured out a way to win, man. Like I know it was close late, and I think Cuvée hit another home run. I mean, he's just on fire, man. That's so big for Miami. The fact that Cuvée is just like back to 2024 form is like it's undeniable how big that is for Miami's offense entirely. And I've talked to you guys about it, but just the fact that everyone in that lineup knows like Cuvé's Cuvée again makes everybody in the lineup better because it makes the lineup more confident in general. Sorry for being late. Just got off the set, dude. Buck. All right, dude. Now I know you're trolling. I'm not falling for it anymore. Buck B. Hey, dude. Hey. It was an excellent troll. I'm no longer falling for it. But you watched the whole season of Matlock with the wife, so not all was lost. No, I didn't. I actually did not. We haven't watched one episode of it because I started knowing. I knew that. I knew you were trolling me, so. Oh, shoot. Guess they elected a new pope. That's interesting. Okay, back to baseball. I just saw that on X. All right, let's go over the scores from yesterday. Miami, like I said, big win. And really, we're going to look over the weekend coming up. Dusty tried to FaceTime me. Got to tell him we're live. All right. So yesterday, and actually we'll have some games this. So hey, big series starting tonight, 6 p.m. North Carolina and NC State. That'll be a big one, especially for hosting considerations. It really can't get any bigger than NC State versus North Carolina. NC State is 15-8. North Carolina is 15-9. You also have South Carolina and Auburn. Again, Auburn looking to be a national seed. Yes, I am the new pope. You heard it here first. Here's a big series to watch, even though it doesn't sound like it, is Coastal Carolina, UL Monroe. Think about it. Coastal Carolina, like they are getting closer and closer to potentially becoming a national seed, but like a terrible weekend, like getting swept by UL Monroe, could be the type of thing that knocks them out of contention. So that's another one to watch. But let's look at the scores from yesterday real quick, and then we'll go to Friday. White House, was Paul Mainieri the right hire for South Carolina? I will tell you. All I'll say is this, right? Because I have good relationships with coaches all over the place, and part of what I do is maintaining those. It was a big surprise from anyone in the industry that that's the direction South Carolina went. That's what I'll say, is that nobody saw that coming. Like everybody thought, there was going to be a handful of guys, and nobody thought Paul Mainieri's coming out of retirement. So take with that what you will. Why is Coastal not ranked on ESPN? I don't know. ESPN, in my mind, especially in terms of baseball, is just kind of irrelevant. I don't think they even watch baseball at ESPN. All right, so last night, Troy beat Samford. Oregon beat St. Mary's. Oregon State, Portland was canceled. Georgia Tech beat Mercer 4-3. Man, it was a close game. And again, for Georgia Tech to get back in hosting contention, a lot of people thought, just for RPI purposes, they probably had to win both of those midweek games. So that was big. Florida International and Miami. Miami won 10-6. Miami is just absolutely rolling right now. Virginia beat Towson 19-1. Liberty beat Virginia Tech 7-4. And Northeastern beat UMass Lowell. Northeastern is 38-9, 19-2 in the CAA. All right, let's look at the weekend. And I click on the wrong thing. I will say this, if you're Georgia Tech, you're a little bit worried about Kyle Lodi. Since he's returned from injury, he's basically dropped like 40 points in batting average in a not too long a stretch, right? Like not a very long stretch. He's dropped 40 points. He's down to hitting 339. And he was hitting in the around 390, high 380s. Pre-injury. Going on the DL with what I was told was kind of like an upper body strain or something like that, like an oblique maybe. So that's something to keep in mind. Besides that, Drew Burris does seem to be getting back to form, 15 home runs. But if you look at Georgia Tech's offense in general, like almost every hitter is hitting over 300. Every full-time player is hitting over 300, which is incredible. There's literally nobody in the nation better than Miami right now. It's pretty incredible. And Canes, I saw the thing about talking about Durias and Siskar. It's funny, the guy who made the video, he obviously either watched the stream or watched one of my videos or listened to me talk in the space, because I told him that, an ACC coach had told me that like Siskar is a nightmare matchup for right-handed hitters. And then he said that in the video. It's pretty funny. And there's no player in the country on Daniel Cuvier's level. Certainly not right now. I mean, he is without a doubt one of, if not the best player, the way he's playing right now in the country. His bat is on fire. I'm getting blown up right now. Text. All right. Let's look at these. Let's look at the matchups on Friday here. All right. Talk about another big time matchup with Vandy and Tennessee. Both teams at 14-10 in the SEC. Both teams right now are looked at as hosts. But again, this is a series where one team's going to win, one team's going to lose. So is that going to be enough to knock them out of hosting contention? Again, like the series at this point, you got 2 series left. Like this is where the rubber meets the road. If you're going to be a host, you got to finish strong. And a lot of teams are in that kind of predicament right now. I mean, look at. We talked about Ole Miss. Ole Miss has kind of been struggling a little bit lately. Mississippi State is playing a little bit better, but I mean, they still need to finish strong to make the tournament. They get to 13 wins. I think they're going to be sweating on selection day, but they're definitely in the conversation of getting in. We talked about North Carolina State, North Carolina. Look at Duke. I mean, look at Duke. Who would have thought 3 weeks ago Duke is going to have the same record in ACC play as Clemson? Right. And so, again, this is what I'm saying about the ACC. Like, the ACC is so undervalued. Duke has a very similar record. They're 33-15 versus 37-13. And so Clemson's played a few more games. Clemson's played 2 extra games. So in reality, these records are almost virtually the same. They have the exact same ACC record. One of them is number 9 in the country. One of them is unranked. Now, in the SEC, this is, again, let's look at the SEC. 14-10, 14-10, 15-11. In the ACC, you got 14-10, 14-10, 33-15, 34-15, 37-13, 38-11. Number 9, not ranked. The guy that made the video was a walk-on on this current team, decided to go into media because he knew he would never play. He's a really nice person, so he gets a lot of info from the players and hangs out with them because they are all freshmen at Miami. Nice. Yeah, I think I saw I think he posted the video, so I figured it was him. Louisville, Georgia Tech. This is another one. Again, like, explain this to me like I'm 5. Just look at these ACC rankings, guys. It makes no sense. Louisville's 33-15. They're 13-11 in ACC play. They're number 20 in the country. Georgia Tech is 35-14, 15-9 in the ACC, and they're not ranked. And they've also played midweeks against Georgia, 2 against Auburn. So they've played 3 midweek games against, right now, projected national seeds. And again, you think about, man, if you pulled off a win in one of those games, your RPI is probably way higher. But again, it's just kind of like, again, I don't understand. The rankings don't make sense. Like, the math doesn't math, is what I'm saying. Oklahoma, Kentucky. Oklahoma, is trying to finish strong to potentially find its way. Again, it's like Oklahoma's on the bubble of hosting or not hosting, depending on how they finish. Kentucky's just trying to make the tournament. They got to get 3 wins out of the next 6 games. South Carolina is just playing spoiler against Auburn. UCLA, another big matchup because UCLA finishes bad. If they finish strong, they can be a host. If they finish bad, they're not a host. Georgia, Alabama, both of these teams right now playing really well. Can Alabama upset Georgia? It is in Tuscaloosa. I will say this. If any of you saw the video of Wes Johnson being asked about the Mississippi State job, I would be concerned if I'm Georgia. Because if you see the text, you're like, okay, that's the right answer. If you watch the way he says that on video, you're like, he's like stuttering and like looks uncomfortable about the question. Like it looks uncomfortable. Because if I'm not thinking about it, if I'm not thinking about taking another job at all, I'm like, no, I'm staying here, man. Like I'm not thinking about that. If you are thinking about it, but you don't want people to know you're thinking about it, you go, no, I'm not thinking about Starkville. It's like, you took a long time to say like 5 words. So who knows? I don't know. But I just saw that video and I thought it was funny. And I kind of, my body language reading and just what my vibe was from that is that he may be thinking about it. I don't know that. I have no idea. I haven't been told that. But just watching that video, that was my thought. Let's see. West Virginia, Kansas State. If West Virginia wants to be a host, they probably have to win this series. Kansas State can upset that. Again, that's the life of a team out. Even if you're 18-4 in the Big 12 right now, it looks like, you have to dominate the conference to even get a host. It's crazy, but that's kind of what all the things are saying. Vincent from Miami. Hello, guys. What's up, Vincent? Troy, Arkansas State. That should be, Troy should win that one. Louisiana, Southern Miss. This will be a great series to watch. I'm 22 years old. Okay. All right, we're gonna ignore that. I don't understand these guys. I don't like who does that on a stream? Now I got to take the chat down for a second. You guys just start typing things so that gets out of the chat. Okay? He's a troll is what he is, Canes. That's what he is. All right, so yeah, Louisiana Southern Miss is going to be really good. It's in Hattiesburg. If that was in Lafayette, I'd be like, yeah, watch out. Iowa, Oregon State. This is a great series, man. Who do we think wins? Iowa or Oregon State? Because surely, if Iowa beats Oregon State in a series, surely Oregon State will no longer be a host, right? Surely. But I digress. I don't know. Arkansas, LSU. This is a massive series just for national seed considerations. Stuff like that. I like the thing is, even if you lose a series, as long as you don't get swept. Here's the other thing. Arkansas is 40-9, 17-7. They're number 7. LSU's 38-11. They're 15-9. Again, when you look at some of these records, you're just like, why is one team ranked above others? And I know it's your series win, but Arkansas just swept Texas. Anyway, Florida, Texas, that's a big series, right? Can Texas get back on track? All right, let me see if I can pull our chat back up, guys. All right, we're good. You guys did it. Kane's friend might have a bot. Yeah, I think it was a bot. Yeah. No clue. We freaking need Iowa. Yes, don't call me Shirley. I'm rooting hard for Iowa. If anyone needs Iowa gear for the weekend, I'll overnight mail it to you so we can support Iowa. That is one of the programs I actually buy stuff directly from. Nice. But the Texas-Florida series, man, again, because Florida's dude, guys, don't look now. Florida is 11 in the SEC. Florida's 33-17. Florida is rolling. Everyone thought Florida's down and out. Well, I think they were 2-10 or 2 I think they were 2-10 to start, or were they 1-11 to start SEC play? Whatever it is, they have gone on a roll, and they're coming in to Austin, Texas against a Texas team that just got swept on the road. So can Florida pull off again, it's almost not even an upset. Like Florida, everyone knew Florida was good at the beginning of the season, so now they're kind of playing back to preseason form. So another big series. I mean, that's going to be a great series to watch. Florida State, Cal. I mean, this should go Florida State's way. Arizona, Utah, same thing, Arizona. Oregon, Washington. This will be a good matchup. Washington has played well in the Big Ten, 15-9. Irvine. Can Irvine stay consistent? Can Irvine continue to ride the wave and not have a big series loss? That is the question against Bakersfield. Michigan State, Southern Cal. Southern Cal is rolling as well. Can they stay consistent and somehow finish strong, maybe find their way into a hosting? Because I don't know what their RPI is right now. We'd have to look that up. But again, you guys know how the committee is. I mean, they like to have, host on the West Coast, host on the East Coast. I don't agree with that. I think it's stupid. I think just the best team should host. But if that's what they're going to do, that makes, even if UCLA's RPI may not seem correct or good enough, they may still get it. By the way, the first American Pope was just elected, by the way. I guess that's interesting. Okay, so now we know what the weekend looks like. Obviously, there's I think you guys, we were talking about this yesterday. There's so many consequential series near the end here. There's so many teams that are in the, basically they're either they're a host right now, but if they don't finish strong, they're not a host. And there's so many teams that are just outside of it that are on the way as well to being a host. How about a little love for the Bryant Bulldogs? 16-1 the last several weeks. No, Bryant is playing out of their mind. Bryant is looking like one of those teams that if they can get a bid, no one wants them in a regional. It's just, again, what you're looking for with those 4 seeds. Sometimes what happens is you get a 4 seed that kind of just lucks into a championship, right? They win the conference somehow, especially if the conference tournaments, somehow a team that nobody expected wins it. No one's worried about that team, generally speaking. Yes, I'm actually Burke. I was pulling up their stats right. I already was pulling up their stats. Pulling them up right now. We'll talk through it. All right, let's see. Let's look at Bryant. Okay, so 27-16, 13-5 in conference, 14-11 on the road, or 14-11 on the road. They've been very good at home. Offensively, obviously Drew Wires is just carrying the team. Only hadn't played every single game, but since he's been in the lineup, he's carrying it. 425, 17 walks, 15 strikeouts, 13 hit by pitch. He's got 30 free passes to 15 strikeouts. Decent power numbers across the board for Bryant. In 44 games, they've got 52 home runs, so they're averaging a decent amount over one per game. 105 doubles, so they're doing a really good job extra base hits wise. Slugging 469, really good. On base percentage is 381, so they're OPSing right around 850, which is solid. Team batting average 278. They've scored 309 runs in 44 games, so they're kind of right at, about 7.5 per game, a little bit under 7.5 per game, which is solid. Fielding percentage, 966. They've made 54 errors in 44 games. It's it's okay. I'd like it to, obviously you'd like it to be at like 1 per game or a little bit less than 1 per game. Pitching wise, they're throwing up a 4.6 ERA, 370 innings, 353 hits, doing a good job minimizing the walks, only 189 walks in 370 innings, which is solid. 378 strikeouts in 370 innings. So they're striking out a little bit more than one or 9 guys per 9 innings. And 247 opponent batting average. So just across the board, they're just solid. It looks like they're just really solid across the board. Like just putting up really solid numbers, pitching wise, offensively, defensively. And again, and then you add on top, like they're really hot lately. That's just you don't want to face a team that has a full head of steam coming into the regional. Exactly, White House. Looking at the stats, they seem like a real solid team. Exactly. Exactly what I see. There's not one thing that really sticks out as like, okay, they're really strong here, but they're really solid across the board. Look at the stats. They seem like a real solid team. Pirates fired their manager. Wonder how long before Skeens leaves. Dude. Well, one of the things I wanted to talk about, we'll talk about today, the hiring of Brett Boone as the hitting coach for the Texas Rangers. There's a great article about it that I think is, again, I think there may be a ray of light, a ray of hope for Major League Baseball. Danny Burke's son's about to dominate at Bryant. Yes, sir, 100%. Skeens leaving the second he can. Skeens can come to Detroit. Yeah. Again, I don't necessarily agree with the firing of the manager. Again, it always rubs me the wrong way when you haven't invested. Like you haven't invested in the team to really win, and then you're going to fire the manager because they're not playing well. It's just like that's soft stuff, man. That's soft stuff. That's like laying the blame somewhere else. Thanks for the insight in the numbers, Kyle Kane. Thanks for we'll see. Hey, man. Just got to keep doing what he's doing. But this is the article. I'm going to pull this up too. So Brett Boone, guys, I'm sure most of you guys know who he is. Okay. He played 14 years in the major leagues. He was at for a certain amount of time in his career, he was considered one of the best hitting second basemen in Major League Baseball. And in 2001, he drove in 141 runs. Okay. So this guy was a stud in the major leagues, and he played with Ichiro, he played with Edgar Martinez. He's a third generation big leaguer. His grandfather Ray played 13 years as an infielder in the major leagues. His dad played 19 years in the major leagues as a catcher. And his brother is obviously Aaron Boone, the manager of the Yankees. And so this guy is, again, like he knows what he's talking about. Now, Brett Boone has a podcast. Maybe Baseball or Bust. I'm not sure what it is, just to be honest. But he was not hesitant to bring on such guests as Hall of Famer Goose Gossage, who, as readers of Ball 9 know, absolutely torches the current leadership of Major League Baseball and the nerds. This was no kiss-ass podcast. Basically, he was Brett Boone was very vocal about the issues going on in Major League Baseball and what he saw as things that were, not right, things that we've talked about a bunch on this show. So he gets interviewed here. We're not going to watch this. He's just talking about, he's like, 2 days ago, I had no idea, and then I got a call from Bruce Bochy, and he gets the job. And funny enough, he was at a USC game in California, and he ran into Michael Young, who's obviously heavily involved with the Rangers, and probably had a good conversation. And Michael Young probably thought, oh yeah, you know what? Maybe this is what we're missing. Maybe we're missing having a guy like this in the clubhouse. So I totally forgot the Rangers won the World Series just 2 years ago. Yeah. So anyway, this is the part of the article I wanted to read. My point is that former Major League players who are now podcasters or broadcasters or who host shows are super valuable baseball commodities if only those running Major League teams would notice and have the guts to hire them. Notice what he says. All these Major League players, former professional players, none of them are coaching in the big leagues. Like guys who were stars, guys who really understand the game, guys who are very cerebral guys who are very good coaches, none of them are coaching. Because Major League Baseball and the guys running the show don't want them. They do not want them in the dugout. So they're left to be podcasting and broadcasters and host shows, right? You're seeing that pop up all over the place, right? Like Eric Hosmer, and a few of the other guys have their show now. And again, it's crazy what's happened. Instead, way too many nerd gurus have been hired who may have a social media presence and analytical metric presence, but lack the bonus of actually having succeeded as a major league player, knowing the real score of what it takes to excel in the majors. This is about doing and having solutions to problems, not just throwing out numbers and theories. Someone definitely got into Javi Baez's ear. He's batting .313 with 3 home runs and 18 RBIs. Hey, it's early, though. It's early. That's the only thing. You never believe it until the season's over. But he has looked better, for sure. This is the part I love. One top talent evaluator put it perfectly on what is happening in baseball with the nerds and gurus. This new baseball, he told Ball 9, they are all talk and no action. They get in a room and they talk and talk and talk, and they are so thoughtful and so collaborative, and they are this and they are that, whereas all old baseball people look at the problem and solve it in a physical fashion. The paralysis by analysis is horrendous. The taking on of so much data as opposed to just seeing the ball and putting a good swing on it, he said. The most important thing is to teach these kids how to play the game. Most of them don't do it anymore. Sorry for changing the subject. I don't remember seeing any big collisions at first base. Why was a safety bag added? What am I missing? Angel or Angel. I don't know which one to say, but yeah, exactly. That's a good question. No one knows. It was to make it safer at first, I guess. But I think I've seen more issues at first base with the safety bag than ever before when there wasn't one. Kyle, I got some news for you to share in a few months. Can't share now because people are moving in silence. Matt Canes, why are you going to post that in the chat and then not say anything, dude? You got to be kidding me, man. I heard recently that MLB is considering it as well. Yeah, it's unbelievable. I mean, it's just, again. But read this again, guys. The paralysis by analysis is horrendous. The taking on of so much data as opposed to just seeing the ball and putting a good swing on it. The most important thing is to teach these kids how to play the game. Most of them don't do it anymore. The evaluator then talked about specific, subtle physical examples of how a coach can help a hitter or help a pitcher play the game. Because after Boone's Tuesday debut as Rangers hitting coach, a 6-1 win over the Red Sox, a 16-hit affair where every starter got a base hit, manager Bruce Bochy said this: And man, this is like music in my ears. The boys swung the bats. A lot of good things tonight. Just playing the game of baseball, moving guys over, getting them in from third with less than 2 outs. Throughout the lineup, somebody did something to contribute. Now, that sounds like a dinosaur talking because for the last 10 years, all we've heard from the nerds and the gurus are, we don't move runners. That's not what we should be worried about. Oh, we don't hit ground balls up the middle with the runner on third and less than 2 outs and then middle infield back. We don't do that. We're trying to hit home runs. Strike out. It's the same as a ground out. Strike out. It's the same as a fly out to deep in the outfield that scores the run. Doesn't matter. It's the same thing. A strikeout's just another out. Like, legitimately, you will get in arguments with people on social media who tell you that with a straight face, and you can just look at them and be like, you literally have no idea what you're talking about if you think a strikeout is the same as a fly out and a ground out. But Bruce Bochy said it. They're just playing the game. They're contributing. They're having productive at-bats. It's not only about exit velocity, but also about playing the game. Get them on, get them over, get them in. Boone was not hired to talk analytics. He was hired to help hitters get in the right frame of mind, in the right hitting position to do damage to score runs. What have I told you guys forever? Hitting is way less about your swing. Your swing can create issues with maybe driving the ball or you're missing underneath too much. But if you have the right approach, if you're in the right frame of mind and you know what you're trying to do at the plate and you're committed to it, you can be a very good hitter with a not great swing. And that's what he's saying right here. He's not hired to talk analytics. He's hired to help hitters get in the right frame of mind and put themselves in the right position to do damage and score runs. Boone's old Seattle teammate, Edgar Martinez, is doing exactly that in Seattle as senior director of hitting strategy. Again, it's like the dumbest name. Can we just say he's a hitting coach? The senior director of hitting strategy. It's like, what? Can we just call him a hitting coach? And again, that's how you know the rot has seeped in so much. It sounds like he's working at like Amazon. He's a coach, and it sounds like he's working at Amazon. And that's the point. The guys running Major League Baseball now, they're not baseball guys. They come from corporate America. They come from the Ivy League. They come from all these non-baseball backgrounds. And so now all the jobs in Major League Baseball, they have to make them sound fancier than they are. Have you guys noticed that? Like, and it's happening in college too. It's like director of this and senior director of hitting strategy. It's like he's a partner at a law firm. He's a hitting coach. He's Edgar Martinez. He's one of the greatest hitters of all time. Why don't you just call him Senior Edgar Martinez, one of the greatest hitters of all time, coach? Anyway, that's just a tangent that I read that and I'm just like, it sounds like he's working in corporate America as like a, like what are we doing? Anyway, the Mariners, traditionally a team with many hitting woes, are 7th in the majors in runs scored. That works with the talented pitching staff, and this is the reason the Mariners are currently leading the AL West. Edgar Martinez is not an analytics guy. Brett Boone is not an analytics guy. For some teams, the pendulum is swinging back to a baseball approach and not what I call AOB, analytics-only baseball. Don't stop with Brett Boone. Bring more members of the show to the show. 100% agree. 100% agree. And I told you guys my history with like interview when I was done playing and finished my degree. I had 3 or 4 teams I was interviewing with to be a coach, to be a hitting coach. And I was actually told by one team that they would be willing to make me like the 4th coach on a team or 3rd coach, or like I wasn't a hitting coach or anything. And I was like, well, I have multiple teams that have already offered me a job as a hitting coach, like at the high A, double A level. And the guy goes, I just don't know if you're qualified for that yet. And it was at that point where I was like, all right, I think we can be done here. Because again, it's like, again, I don't have a driveline certification, so I'm not qualified. That's basically what I was being told. Oh, you don't understand you don't have a driveline certification. Sorry. I know you hit 290 and like 3,000 at bats in professional baseball, and most of that was in AAA. But and you hit over 330 twice, but you're not very qualified to be a hitting coach. Okay. Good luck. Hey, hire the guy that played high school baseball and couldn't sniff a college roster, but he's got a driveline certificate. Which is actually what happens, by the way. Just like I'm not making that up. That's all totally true. You ask any guy who's been around pro baseball in the last 7 or 8 years, and even a little bit further back than that. I mean, that's a lot of organizations. Like the guy teaching you how to hit, you're like, did you play sports in high school? Like that's what you think. That's what you think. The guy that's teaching you the guy that's your hitting coach, or is one of the hitting coaches in the organization in spring training. You're sitting there and he's talking, and you're like, dude, I don't think you played sports in high school. And you're telling us how to hit. Now, again, you guys know my thought on that. My thought on that is, just because you didn't play at a high level doesn't mean you can't be a really good coach. It just means it's way more unlikely that you are. Just because you did play at a high level doesn't mean you're a good coach or will be a good coach. It just means it's way more likely that you will be, right? So there's bad ones on both sides. It's just way more likely that the guy that didn't even play in high school or didn't play in college at all, he's probably not going to be a very impactful coach, no matter what he knows about swing design and all that stuff. Sorry, hitting is not about having a good swing. Hitting's about being a really good hitter. And being a really good hitter is about understanding how you're being pitched, how to make adjustments, what the situation is, what that means, and what that dictates for in your adjustments and stuff like that. Angel, BS? I don't know what you're saying BS to. Explain. That sounds like the Tigers this year. Remember, data looks backward. It doesn't tell you you have to change something. Yeah. Again, it's just, you guys know what I'm saying, but why would any pitcher want to get drafted by the Rockies? I feel bad for Chase Dollander. Yeah, I mean, that's why the Rockies, it's very... I told you guys why it's so hard for the Rockies to put up, like, winning teams. It's... No pitcher wants to go there because you're, like... You're very likely to put up worse numbers. And then also, hitters... It's viewed like if you do have success there, well, in negotiation or arbitration or wherever, they're going to bring up, well, your numbers may be a little bit juiced because you're playing in half your games in Mile High, 7,000 plus feet above sea level. Even though they put those balls in the humidor and all that stuff. Sorry, I meant the poor excuse people give. Yeah. No, you're right. I knew that's what you were saying. I knew you weren't saying it to me. How dare you? How dare you if you were to say that? Sounds like some organizations are coming back to their senses. Yeah, I do think so. Again, who know? I hope that that is the case. Have to go. We have batting practice in 15 minutes. All right, see you, man. Have a good one. I hope that's the case. I think again, I think some people have had enough of it. I think some people have had enough. And again, that article perfectly illustrates it. Because again, from the guys I know who have told me what it's like in those rooms, it's just a whole lot of, again, with analytics, you can find a way to justify any player being promoted or any player not being promoted. And what the guys say, they just talk and talk and talk, and they're very collaborative, and they just talk and they just keep talking and they do all this talking, and they're not really saying anything. Right? That's the issue. And they can always hide behind, well, the analytics and again, I've told you guys, there's a lot of these guys, they just use like the data models. The models make the decision. The model says to do this. They run the simulation, and the models say, out of 1,000 simulations, 65% of the time, this is the way to go. Like, that's what they do. They don't take into account, is this guy tough? Is this guy soft? What do you think's why do you think Devin Williams is not doing well in New York? Do you guys think he just all of a sudden stopped being good? You think Devin Williams just all of a sudden he's not very good? Or do you think some guys, and it's a known thing, anyone in the game of baseball knows this who's been around the game, some guys can't cut it in New York. They can't deal with that kind of pressure. They can't deal with the fans yelling at them when they give it up. They go out there the next outing and they're thinking about, in their mind, they're like, oh, please don't give it up again, or they're going to be mad at me. They're going to yell. Like, that's why. And the data models, they don't take that into account. They don't take that into account that the guy's mentally soft. Can't deal with the pressure. Devin Williams is a small market guy. He needs to go to a small market where, there's not a lot of pressure. Fans aren't going to say the things that they say in New York or Boston or LA or wherever. Most guys can't cut it in New York City. Yeah. And that's one thing you say about Aaron Judge, man. He can cut it in New York City. But, right? I may not like his hitting guru coach very much, but Aaron Judge is tough, man. That's one thing you can say. Kyle, on the grandfathering players in issue with the House settlement, is that the only way to do that to gradually reduce the roster size? How could you ever truly prevent a school from cutting? I got to read that twice, Dan. Isn't the only way to do that to gradually reduce? Yeah, no, I think you're right, Dan. And from what it seems like, we're going to see a lot of developments over these next couple days. We're going to see a lot of developments, so we just got to stay on top of it. Again, that was just a proposal. There's going to be counters. There's going to be, this is going to be a back and forth thing. I think eventually it's going to look like it's going to be pretty favorable for the players that are being grandfathered in. I even saw something this morning talking about that players that were even players that were cut earlier in the year, players that are on rosters anywhere, are all going to be basically labeled as designated scholarship athlete. And you can take that status anywhere. You're grandfathered in no matter where you end up, what roster you're on, whatever. So I think it's going to end up being pretty favorable. But again, I don't know. Our coaches, our school's going to say, yeah, you can hold 45 guys. Notre Dame did just say they're going to grandfather everybody in and all that stuff. So we'll see. How's a driveline guy going to talk Mike Trout out of an over 20 slump? Exactly, Dan. Exactly, Berg. Exactly. They don't know. They'd never been 0 for 28 in AA, and a Latin guy telling you, hey, man, you got to try something different, man. Like, hey, you're not looking good. You might as well try this. I've been there. I've been the guy in the dugout. You're 0 for 28. You're like, man, it's like I forgot how to hit. I couldn't buy a hit right now. And an analytics guy, what they're going to do is, well, your shoulder cerebral circumference, like they're going to start talking mechanics. The first thing you go to in season is, what's my approach? Am I actually making good swing decisions? Am I swinging at good pitches? Am I committed to my approach? The last thing you go to after all of that is, all right, maybe there is a little mechanical issue. But generally, a mechanical issue, when you're working on it, you're going to struggle more before you break out. And again, like a guy who's never played at a high, like in a high level in college or professional baseball, they don't know what it's like to have to play every day and figure out a way to show up to the field in the midst of a slump and be okay and be like, I'm going to break out of it today. Because I'll tell you, it's not just something that, like, when I say that was like that was a strength of mine, it was a battle. I just happened to win the battle a lot. Right? The same thoughts that are in a lot of guys who can't cut it, who can't deal with it, the same thoughts that were in those guys' heads were also in my head. But I found a way to be like, nah, I'm good. I'm going to be fine. I'm going to be fine. I'm going to get a couple hits today. And then you don't get a couple hits. And then find a way to have that same mindset the next day. That's the difference. And a guy who's never been through that has no idea what that feels like, has no idea what trying to break out of a pretty bad slump feels like. Because when you're in the midst of that, you think, man, I can't hit. Like, I literally can't hit. I swing and miss. I'm swinging and missing. And then you like you're like 0 for 18 and you line out to shortstop and you're like, dude, you're like, what is going on? So again, it's just, it's one of those things. I'm not saying you can't have a guy who maybe that's his specialty in the dugout, but that should not be the hitting coach, because he's not a hitting coach. He's a swing coach. That is not a hitting coach. Just look at the Milwaukee Brewers. Look at their hitting coach. Sorry. I mean, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Just, guys, do me a favor. Go through major league organizations on their websites and go through their staff and go through the hitting coaches and then come back and tell me what you think. Your minds will be blown. And then Google them. Google the coach. A psychiatrist would be a much better hitting coach than a guy who majored in statistics from Princeton. Yeah, and most teams do have a sports psychologist on staff now. I know the Brewers do, like pretty much every team does now. But that is like, and you guys, Burke, you probably heard me say this, but I mean, that is what a hitting coach is a lot of the time. Like, a hitting coach is more about you're training the player on how to, when you do line out, you crush a ball and you hit a ball right out. Like, you're training him what to think post that at bat. When he comes into the dugout and he's upset and he's like, God, I crushed that ball. You're like, dude, you did everything. You did everything you could control. Like, that was a great swing, great at bat, like, great job. Because they immediately go to, golly, I can't get a hit even when I do that. And gosh, like, what's going on? Why can't I? No, when you do that, your immediate thought is exactly what I was trying to do. I executed, happened to hit it right at a guy. That was a great at bat. So as a hitting coach, you like the majority of your job is you're training guys how to think, how to approach pitchers, what to think in certain situations. I told last night in one of our games, they're warming up a lefty, like a low slot lefty, to face one of our big lefties hitters. And I said, hey, if they bring him in, get on top of the plate, make him uncomfortable. Make him uncomfortable. Pull it to right center. He's coming from over here. You got a great It's an much easier plane to match to get out front and pull that than to try to let that get really deep and hit it the opposite way. And he ended up not coming in. So, but like you're preparing them for the situation before it happens. And again, you're training them how you're training their mind how to react after certain things that happen in the game, especially the bad things, whether it's a bad at bat or a great at bat where he just happens to get out. This one time I went 0 for 7 with 7K straight. It was a long drive home and a long week. I couldn't sleep. It took a while to shake it off. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you feel lost. Like, you legitimately feel lost when you go through something like that. You feel lost. You're like, how the hell did that just happen? Because, like, a slump always happens after you're going good. If you're just doing bad all the time, you're just not in a slump. You're just not good. But usually a slump happens when you're feeling great. You're like, man, this is going great. And then one game, you have like an 0 for 4. And you're like, okay, no big deal. And then the next day, you're 0 for 4. Now you're 0 for 8. And you're like, And then that third game, you go for 4, you're in a slump. And you're trying to figure out, okay, why haven't I got a hit? Dude. Okay. You can't make this up, all right? You can't make this up. So, one of the Brewers hitting coaches, he's like one of the, they have like 3 hitting coaches. Al LaBeouf, who's their lead hitting coach, was my hitting coach in AAA. Old school guy, played, love him. But they have 2 guys that are also on the big league staff where you like, if you look them up, you're like, what? One of them, I'm going to read it in quote. He's a hitting coach. Eric Thyssen played collegiately at NCAA Division I program, Illinois State. I'm like, okay, yeah, Illinois State, good program. And is still ranked number 3 in all time. And I'm like, oh, okay, this guy, pretty good career. Like, number 3 all time. In pitching appearances, tied for 8th in wins and 9th in innings pitched. He was a pitcher. Okay. Yeah, I mean that's what we read right there. That's what we read. You have a former college pitcher as a big league hitting coach. Okay. But all right, guys, we got playoff game 3 coming up soon. I gotta head out. Thanks for joining the stream, chatting us up, everything. Obviously, I tell you guys this every day, but I really appreciate you guys supporting the stream and always being in here and all of that. Have a good rest of your day. We got some big college weekends coming up, and then we're going into conference tournament type stuff. It's going to be really fun. Appreciate you guys. We'll be back again tomorrow with another stream. Hopefully, we get a win tonight. Wish me luck.